Welcome, welcome. I am Dr. Patrice Berry, licensed psychologist, and here I share educational information, really covering legal and entertainment news from a psychological perspective. So glad that you all are here. Let me know where you are joining from. I am in Virginia, and I think we're in another fall spring. The weather seems kind of nice. And special thank you to all the mods that are here. I really appreciate you all. Becky. Today's case. So, for anyone that's not aware of Becky Hill, she's the clerk of court that was really managing things for the Murdaugh trial. And a clerk of court is really just supposed to be in the background. They're not supposed to influence the case at all. And there are allegations that she did some things that were improper. We are going to play just a really short bit of the prosecution examining her. And the prosecution really, of course, they don't want her to have done anything wrong. And y'all know I always forget to do something. And I forgot to plug in my computer. So no, and that fell out. So let me plug in my computer so the stream doesn't go off. We are professional. I love when EDB plays that. All right, let's do that. But unplug the phone because the phone charging, that does not matter right now. But yes, the computer needs to be charging. So we are good to go. With this case, she is under investigation. That's my understanding, at least because there have been some ethical complaints filed due to some allegations of her behavior during this trial. And I was kind of surprised. So I have a poll going. Y'all can let me know your thoughts. For anyone that's already seen what the judge decided, I don't really plan to play much of the judge for this. But we're just going to cover her testimony. And so let's hop right into that. All right. We're starting with the prosecution asking her questions. I'm going to play more of Harpootlian asking her questions, and then the judge. To me, the judge's questions were pretty telling as well. So let's go ahead and dive into this.
Let me go ahead and just kind of get straight to it. In your capacity as clerk of court and in your previous experience being a court reporter, were you familiar with the rules that apply to court staff as it comes to interactions with jurors in the course of a criminal trial or a civil trial for that matter?
Yes.
All right. And could you tell the court generally what those rules are as far as what contact is permissible and what contact is not permissible, just very quickly?
The judge gives the law and gives the instructions for a jury, and the attorneys will state their opening argument, their opening statements, their closing arguments, and basically the clerk of court and anyone else, court reporter, we're there to, my understanding would be to make sure that everyone's taken care of. Do you need some Kleenex? Do you need some water? Different things like that, just to make sure that they're taken care of.
Is it common for clerks of court to have interaction with jurors during the course of a trial to see to those various logistical needs that you just described?
Yes.
And did that happen in the Murdaugh case?
It did.
And can you give us an example of some of the logistical things that you or other things that you would see to
Okay. So this part, I think she was definitely prepared for those questions. And it's going to come out later that she met with SLED, she met with the prosecution to probably, I guess, be interviewed or for them to just get an idea of what she had to say. And I want to skip ahead to about 6 minutes
to deal with
in.
any?
About 6 minutes in, she starts talking about the pep talks she would give. And
Hey, babe. Do you want to go to?
That seems odd, the fact that she's giving pep talks. We're going to skip this ad. Here we go.
Words that you said and during that conversation, what were the effect of them?
To Mr. Bill.
Yeah. And what did you say?
I told him that that Judge Newman was allowing more of the financial evidence in, which would prolong the testimony in the trial a little bit, and also that the defendant had decided that he was going to testify.
Did you say anything about this being an important day? Pay attention. We'll get coffee for you. Things like that.
I usually give a little pep talk to the jurors.
Why? What? Why? So I'm not a lawyer. I'm a psychologist. To me, the clerk of court shouldn't be the one telling the jury to pay attention because if the judge sees that the jury isn't paying attention, or if the lawyers point it out, I would think it would be between the lawyers and okay. So y'all know I cover the psychological perspective. And for me, I want to talk a little bit about the truth, possible one of a few things that are happening. Either she truly does not remember what she said, because there are jurors that have said that she made some kind of offhanded statements, but that those statements did not impact their ruling. One juror did say that they did feel but they didn't say it clearly enough, I think, for the judge. I think the judge wanted the juror to say, when Becky Hill said this, this is why it completely changed my mind about the case, and this is why I did this. Like, I think the judge was looking for like some huge glaring thing. I did watch that juror's testimony, and when the judge was pressing for more specifics, the juror really couldn't give it. And I think that's why Poot wanted to, I don't know, I think he wanted to ask more questions. This decision is going to be appealed. We will see what happens with that. But so her explanations seem, in my opinion, to be a little convenient. This is a great place for my disclaimer. I am a psychologist. This is not a psychological evaluation. I don't know what's going on in her mind. I'm just telling you that her story seems really complicated and it doesn't seem to make sense. The things the jurors said, the things that have kind of come forward of her kind of making these offhanded comments, that seems to make sense to me personally. Y'all let me know y'all's thoughts. Let's keep going.
It's sometimes hard sitting a long time, but my usual, and I do remember saying, pay attention. It's a big day today. Whatever you need, let Mr. Bill know, or one of the other bailiffs, and they'll be glad to get it for you.
Did your comments, or were your comments in any way phrased in favor of one side or against another side? Or were they more of a neutral comment about paying attention?
No, it was not for one side or the other.
Alec was very attentive. If y'all also watched Dr. G Explains, Dr. G covered some of Alec's body language and things like that during this during Becky Hill's testimony. And I think he also knows that the cameras are on him and that they're aware of things. And sometimes when people are trying to block a reaction or they're trying to manage things sometimes, but I think he just, to me, he's a very fidgety person. I personally see it as him being, I think he likely has ADHD. I don't know that he does. I do believe it came out that Paul definitely did, and ADHD tends to run in families, and so the way that Alec is described to me, it sounds a lot like ADHD, along with a few other things that I talked about in a much longer video.
Were you present when the jury went to the Moselle property to conduct the jury view?
I was.
All right. And was Judge Newman there as well?
He was.
During the time that you were on the property, traveling there, traveling back, did you have any conversation with the jurors where you made any comment about the substance of any testimony or any comment about the merits or the strength of the case?
No.
Did you have a quick comment to the forelady about how the property was beautiful and there were tea olive trees there that bloom and smell good, or words to that effect?
I did.
All right.
And to me, they shouldn't really be talking at all. That's just like, to me, she shouldn't really be talking to the jury for a person at all, in my opinion. And I think most people's, but
Was there any other conversation related that you had where you made any comment about the case or the merits or anything like that?
Oh, no.
During the course of this trial, did you have a bailiff employee whose primary job it was to see to the jury and their?
I'm gonna fast forward. I have a timestamp for let's hear Harpootlian start to talk to her. All right. And Poot's gonna start out.
Hi, welcome to
Or another commercial. Harpootlian's gonna start out first just saying, like, I don't have anything against you. You don't have anything against me. Like, we're fine. Like, that's where Harpootlian's gonna start. This is a commercial. I don't know what that was. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Fast forward. They had a mic issue that they had to work out.
Where were we? Oh yeah, we're old friends.
And I want to be sure you can be heard. That was the microphone that was supposed to. You're fine where you are. Absolutely fine.
Yes, ma'am. It was a stage microphone that was obscuring my ability to question.
For anyone thinking about the book or asking questions about the book, after the plagiarism, after she confirmed that she plagiarized a article written by, I want to say, a BBC writer, something like that. The co-author took the book down. And what she says, her explanation for why some facts might, in my mind, what she described is that some facts might be exaggerated, or some facts might be that she took some poetic license. Like, that was, we're definitely going to talk about that part because that was very odd.
Question the witness.
Yeah. Well,
I'm going to fast
what I
forward.
want to podium.
I don't know who's supposed to hear this other than you, but
I'm going to fast forward.
Oh yeah, we're old friends, right? We spent 6 weeks together in a very pressure-filled situation, correct?
It was a long 6 weeks.
It was a long 6 weeks. And during those 6 weeks, you were helpful to me in a number of different ways. Accommodating friends that I had that wanted to come watch the trial, for instance, correct?
That's correct.
You even allowed me to use the private restroom down on the first floor so I didn't have to stand in line with the rest of the people trying to get breaks, correct?
Correct.
So we have no animosity towards each other. You didn't do something to me and I didn't do something to you during that trial, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, given that, I'm going to ask you some questions today that may indicate to you that I have some antagonism towards you. Let me disabuse you of that. I'm here doing a job representing my client, and you've been around the court system for decades, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you understand what we're doing here today.
Yes.
Now, let me understand a couple of things. I think, and I've read your book, some editions of your book. There's several. We got a bunch of emails in which you have drafts that you.
And I think the reason why they got the emails of the drafts of her book, and I could be wrong, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, I believe she sent those drafts from her work email, which in my mind is not appropriate. If I am writing a book, I would have my professional, but like my business or my personal email. That would be the email that I would be communicating with. I would not use my court email. And I think that's how they ended up getting access to all of that, is because it was sent through her work email. What? Okay.
You forwarded to your co-author, correct?
Your Honor,
Correct.
objection. I believe, I would object to relevance. I believe any draft she sent to her co-author.
I don't like where this question might be going. That's my own personal opinion. I think that's why there's an objection. And he's whatever, but I think he doesn't want them going down the book, because the book, it's not good. It does not look good at all. And I'm glad the judge allowed it, because and the judge even says that the reason why she allowed it was in order, because some of the things that Becky Hill said on the stand was different than what she said in her book. And so the judge allowed it.
Offer with the book is beyond the scope of this inquiry here today.
Overruled. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. And in those drafts, you say certain things about the trial, about the process, which you later did not include in the final version. It's called editing. Is that correct?
I would agree with that.
Okay. Now, let's talk about this book for just a second. When did you first decide you were going to write a book?
I think a thought was there, a very fleeting thought before the trial.
Did you take any steps before the trial or at the initiation of the trial to begin writing this book or working with somebody on this book?
Oh, no, sir.
When did you and your co-author get together?
It was several weeks after the trial.
Okay. Did you talk to anybody about the fact you were going to write a book before the trial?
There were several anchors and several journalists that I did speak with about the possibility of writing a book.
I'm so disorganized, I apologize. Did you seek assistance in this trial from other clerks of court?
Yes, sir, I did.
And who were they?
I'm gonna fast forward just a little bit, because Rhonda does come and testify and seems to impeach Becky Hill on some of the stuff that Becky Hill is going to say right here. I want to jump ahead to her mention of poetic license, because that was what I don't. That was very, very interesting. So maybe about here. All right. Oh, they can tell when I'm fast forwarding. All right, here we go.
Okay. And remember when the first time was?
I think the first time was in September.
Okay. And the second time was last week?
Yes, sir.
And that was in?
And so this is in reference to when she met with the prosecution and SLED. And she's going to say that they met for a few hours. Yeah.
Walterboro?
Yes, right.
And y'all spent about 4.5 hours together?
I want to say maybe 2 hours together.
Okay. And in those 2 hours, you went over your testimony here today?
They asked me questions.
Did they ever correct your answers or suggest you answered differently?
Oh, no.
No.
Oh,
So
no.
you just went through what you went through in 20 minutes here. It took 2 hours to go through when you were with them.
There were times when I would step out of the room and come back in. But I would say we were there for about 2 hours.
Now, you have described in your book your role as Switzerland. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And that is that you should not be in any way opinionated about what's going on in the trial. Is that correct?
That's true.
Okay. Yet in your book, you indicated a number of different points during the trial you had concluded he was guilty. Is that correct?
I think,
Your Honor, I object at this point. I don't know if her conclusions in the book are in any way relevant to what occurred during the trial and whether.
Once again, we're going to object when we don't like the line of questioning. That's a very lawyery thing to do. Totally get it. I agree, Amber. I don't think any of this was a really good idea. In my opinion, I'm speaking as just me. I think she did think that this was interesting. She was involved. People would want to know what was going on behind the scenes. And if she had told it accurately and if she had stayed out of it, because from what's been described, it sounds like she, I don't know, like it just sounds like it was a very one-sided thing, and the clerk of court is supposed to be objective, and based on the way that the book was written, it sounds like, and I didn't read the book, I'm gonna be honest, and thank you, Naomi, for checking out my audiobook. I did record it myself, so thank you so much for checking that out. Let me know what you think about it. I just with this situation, this was really hard. And I think Poot and Murdaugh's team did a really good job because to me, Poot was on his A game. And I think that's what Emily D. Baker. So I watched this in her chat. I was so glad that day. I didn't really have that many clients. I was able to watch it in the stream. The fact um that all of this came out and she's answering questions in a way where sometimes she dodges the question, and we will get to that in a moment, and an example of that where she's asked a very direct question and she gives a vague answer. And so, but let's keep going with this.
Whether or not there was any communications with the jurors, which is the sole issue that we're here for today, is whether or not Ms. Hill had any extraneous influence on the jurors. And so I think this is going a little far afield. We object to the relevance here.
Let me give you an example. You indicate writing back from Moselle that you and 3 other people were in a car and you all decided adamantly, I think was the word you used, that he was guilty, that he had killed his wife and son. Is that what you put in the book?
I can't remember if I put that in the book, but if you say I did, then I will
Did
agree
that
with
happen?
you. We did have a conversation about what each of us thought,
And all 4 agreed that he was guilty, correct?
and none of us were jurors.
No, trust me, I know that. But
So to me, that was a way to dodge the question and not just say yes. Like if that was true. If the way that the question was worded was true, you just say yes or no. She clarified that none of us were jurors. Like I didn't do anything wrong. Mm.
you had an abiding conviction, at least by the time of the Moselle visit, that he was guilty. And the other people in the car with you were bailiffs, were they not?
No.
Who were they?
Some were not bailiffs. One was a court reporter. One was our security officer, head security, and another was a deputy sheriff.
Okay. But the 4 of y'all rode out there, and based on what, and I mean, you want me to read to you how chilled you were and how you felt that poor Paul and Maggie had been executed by him on that scene, that visiting the scene convinced you that he was a horrible, horrible murderer? You want me to read that to you, or you will concede that's what you wrote?
I will concede that's what I wrote, but if I may, I would say that a lot of that is poetic license.
I gotta make myself big for that one. In a nonfiction book. So like if she had said this is based on, because sometimes like on Netflix, they do take poetic license and they say this is based on a true story. Does her book have a disclaimer that like some information has been embellished just for the enjoyment of the reader? Because if I were to get that book thinking this is a behind the scenes, I would not think that a person was taking poetic license in a a book about a true event. Now, the movie, like I said, the movies typically do. Like they might change some things. They might tell the story in a different way. They might leave some stuff out. That's where it'll say this is based on. Some of the details in this case have been changed, blah blah blah. Like they will sometimes have that disclaimer. In my mind, in my mind, I'm gonna be watching to see if Murdaugh possibly sues her for defamation because she's saying that she didn't. Now he was found guilty, so maybe there's not as much of a, but like I don't know if there would be some type of live, I don't know, like whatever those legal words are to say like you are putting information out there like it's true, like this is what happened, and yet I just can't. And so Karen is planning a video to talk about it. Um Poot missed a great chance to be quiet after his juror testified. Oh, I don't know. And so yeah. Hopefully, he has nothing but time. Nothing but time. And I don't think he's gonna be happy that he's not gonna get a new trial. Because to me, Murdaugh comes off incredibly narcissistic, and he I don't know that he minds being found guilty of the financial stuff. I think he doesn't want to look like, you know, a schmurderer. And y'all know why I say it that way. And people that don't, people who are new here, they'll complain about it in the chat. But he ends up, I don't think he likes being viewed that way. I don't think he likes having been found guilty of the death of his wife and son, despite the fact that like he was there. So like if it wasn't you something, like we don't there was no evidence anyone else was there. And so ah let me say thank you because I saw and starred. Thank you, fine citizen. I appreciate all the support. I might put because I'm excited to make an extra payment on my student loans this week. And also, so y'all can do the free stuff. So free stuff is watching my videos, subscribing, liking the video. All of those things are phenomenal. I appreciate it. Oh, your mom gave the book away. So she really didn't like it. There's probably going to be some used versions, and I'm thinking after all of this came out, people might want to take a look at it. Um oh. So there are allegations in the chat. I don't know that um I think what happened is after the fact, it's the Monday quarterback thing where after the fact and after learning that she wasn't supposed to do and say some of the things that she did and say, I think one of the jurors, they weren't able to say like there might have been this question of was I influenced by her? And one of the jurors said yes. And I thought you only needed one, but the judge did not find that it was a big enough effect, I guess. I don't know. The judge didn't go for it for whatever reason. But Murdaugh's team threw everything out there to try. All right. So she just said poetic license. We are going to keep going. Excuse me.
In writing a book and in
Well-
making it sound like that.
Okay, so some of it's poetic license, and some of it you just stole. You purloined it from that BBC writer, right?
Right, and I object to not only the relevance, but the scope of cross. I would object also under Rule 608. I don't believe that that's appropriate cross-examination.
It is.
Overruled. You may continue, Mr. Harpootlian.
Did you steal part of the book?
I did plagiarize,
Okay,
Mr.
so
Hartfield.
that's stealing, isn't it?
And it is. And for
Okay.
that, I'm very sorry. And I have apologized.
Okay, and that makes it okay.
What I did. And I apologized for that.
Okay. And part of the book is, you say, literary license, exaggeration.
I wouldn't call it exaggeration.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Is Switzerland,
Commercial. No. And then it went to do something. Sorry, y'all. Hold on. All right. Let me try to mute this so we don't have to hear it. All right.
and this is, you're saying this is happening while you're supposed to be Switzerland, you decided the defendant's guilty. And if Ms. McElmeen says that it's going to make you more money if he's found guilty, don't you think it's reasonable to assume that you may have crossed the line from time to time?
Your Honor, I object to the form of the question, assuming facts not in evidence.
Overruled.
Can you repeat that question one more time,
I'm
Mr.
not going to repeat
Hartwell?
it. Let me just move on to something else. Let me ask you,
So I appreciate Poot because sometimes when my trains get interrupted, and when I say trains, I'm talking about my train of thought. When that gets interrupted, or I think Poot, he was like, I said what I said. I don't want to have to say that again. I'm just gonna move on. And I didn't mind. So during the trial, I was not a fan of Harpoot Leon. During this, like, to me, he did a phenomenal job asking really good questions. And even though I am personally not a fan of his client, Murdaugh, I think Poot did a really good job with this. And like I said, they tried everything they could, and the judge did what she did.
you had interactions with some jurors, and I believe in a conference in judges' chambers, you indicated that you had seen a post on, is it Walterboro Word of Mouth?
Your Honor, again, I object. I think he's delving now into the Facebook inquiry. We believe, again, that that's irrelevant to the inquiry before Your Honor.
I will allow limited, he's, as I understand it, trying to impeach her testimony and explore her credibility. And I think I've already told Mr. Harpootlian that I don't want a whole trial about the business of Facebook and the egg juror, but I will allow limited examination on this point. You may.
Okay. So I'm going to fast forward to the judge, because to me, the judge went in harder on her than Harpoot Leon did, in my opinion. So on redirect, Creighton Waters is going to come back and he's going to try to clarify that. I don't know. He's going to try to clarify some stuff. To me, because her answers seem to shift a little based on who was asking the question, how the question was asked. And when you're telling the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. Like, you don't, like, it's the same if it's the truth. That's my personal thoughts. And so, yes. And so somebody mentioned the uncivil law, did a great analysis of why the judge ruled. Uh I didn't know it was a Poot thing. The judge, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm just thinking from my own personal, like, from watching trials and stuff, I thought there might have been enough. Once the judge explained, and all the other jurors were like, "No." And I heard that one juror's testimony, and it seemed shaky. Like, it seemed like, yes, it influenced me, and then it was like, "How?" And the person really couldn't go into how. And, uh, are y'all following the Scott Peterson one? Because that's one I think is like, has it been, why do I feel like it's been 20 years? How long has it been for that one? Because he might be getting a new trial, right? Yes. And so no worries. And I almost changed how I asked the question. No worries, no worries with the poll. No worries. All right. So let's skip ahead to the judge. The judge's questions.
We asked real people if we could.
I was pretty sure there was going to be a commercial. All right. and I know it was Emily D. Baker. That is a huge courtroom. Like how far the witness stand is. So I've testified in court, and normally where the judge is sitting, like normally there would be like a witness box that was right beside the judge. And I have never seen one that was this far away. That's really, really far away. Just random moment.
In the hearing, Judge Newman expressed his uh, unhappiness with you for questioning that juror before he questioned her. Do you recall that?
I do remember seeing that.
Well, then let's go back and talk about that juror. You, on examination in this courtroom, you said that she talked about a lot of things to you, but you didn't ask her any questions. But that's not completely accurate, is it?
Yes, ma'am, that is true.
Well, you asked her direct questions, and that came out in the hearing that Judge Newman had. You asked her questions before she was even examined by the judge, did you not?
Your Honor, I did not ask her any questions.
The judge is finding exactly what she's looking for. I think I can fast forward.
The juror was examined by the judge in a hearing. Do you recall that hearing? It's the second hearing on this matter.
I do recall that hearing, yes.
And the court
The judge is
asked
finding
you about, the court asked this juror about postings on Facebook, did he not?
Correct.
And the juror said she gave Miss Becky my full access to my Facebook.
So just to slow that down, the juror said that she gave, like she's in the meeting with the judge, and she said, I gave Miss Becky full access to my Facebook account. And it's like, wait a minute, like Becky Hill shouldn't have went up to her and said, did you know this or whatever? So we don't know exactly what was said, I don't believe. But Becky Hill should not have approached the juror before the judge. Because once again, she's just a court reporter. She's just supposed to get the coffee, give them breaks, make sure they have what they need. Because even the fact that she's the one that saw the Facebook post or the post on Walter Burt, whatever that website that she found it on, and then brought it to the judge, and like you're doing way too much, in my opinion. For me personally, it seems like a lot. It seems like a lot. And there are allegations that Becky Hill possibly thought that juror favored the defense. Like those are the allegations.
I put positive posts on it. I've done that for the past 3 years. Do you recall her testifying in that regard?
I do remember reading that.
And the judge said, has anyone posted anything on Facebook about you? And the juror answered, I was not aware of it until Miss Becky told me today. Do you recall that?
I do remember her saying that.
And do you recall the judge saying, what did she tell me? And the juror said, she asked me if I had an ex-husband, and I said, yeah. Did you ask her that?
I remember her saying this, Your Honor, but
that is convenient. That is really convenient, because if she did ask that, so I think she's still the clerk of court. I think Becky Hill is still the clerk of court of Colleton County. Like, because I don't think she's on administrative leave. Like, she is still the clerk of court. I tried to Google to see, like, because if this is an election year, if there's a, because I think Rhonda was running again. Yes, because Rhonda was great. Do we need to see some of Rhonda? Let me know in the chat if we need to play some of Rhonda's testimony. I thought Rhonda was absolutely phenomenal. And oh, and I didn't play the part. I think she made, or the book made, $100,000. That is, for a self-published book, in my mind, if the book made $100,000, and she didn't say, because she said it was for her and her co-author, but it was vague to me of exactly, because even Emily D. Baker was like, is that gross? Is that net? Like, whose account did that go to? Like, we all had questions. We all had questions. Excuse me, exactly how much money did she make? And, like, it just seems problematic that, because, so I don't think the judge believed all of what Becky Hill was saying. And it will be interesting to see how the ethics thing goes, and then if there are ever any criminal charges, because I think, I think tampering with I don't, like, it seems like there would be a law that was broken. It seems like there could be a law that was broken in all of this. I know her son is being investigated for, is it wiretapping, or so, like, her son is being investigated for something kind of related to all of this. And not wire, but it's, I think, looking at, I don't know, something with phone tapping, something. Her son, don't get me wrong, because y'all know me in details. Unless I wrote it down, sometimes what I remember might not always be completely accurate. I have to write stuff down. Oh, let's keep going.
I did not ask her any of these questions.
And she further says, she asked me if I had talked to him about the case or being on jury duty, and I said no. I had questioned her about why she was asking me that. I haven't seen my husband since 2014. Do you recall her testifying to that?
I do remember that, yes.
And with that, having jarred your memory, do you recall asking her about her husband and his post?
Your Honor, I don't remember saying anything about that.
Well, what was the post that you read in the Walterboro word of mouth? What was the nature? You read that, did you not?
I did.
What did it say?
This is Little Robot, the highest rated self.
Why? All the commercials. It's fine. I appreciate having access to this feed.
My memory is a little fuzzy with that, but it was about a ex-husband who found out that his ex-wife was on a jury, and he didn't think that she would be a good juror. And it just sounded very similar to what I had heard the judge and the attorneys speaking
So
about.
you then went to that juror and questioned her about that, did you not?
I did not, Your Honor.
Well, she says in this testimony that she didn't know about the Facebook until Miss Becky told me. Was that incorrect?
I'm not saying.
Some kind of conversation went between the two of her for her to know about that post, correct?
That's true. And I'm thinking that it could have been someone, it wasn't me. I just know that it's not me that she talked to about that.
Well, when the judge, the judge was questioning the juror about this, she also said that she had 3 restraining orders against him. And she also said, I was very upset after she told me that. Like I said, I have 3 restraining orders against him, and I wouldn't have anything to do with him if I didn't have a child with him. But I haven't seen him since 2014. Y'all didn't discuss that?
That poor lady that had all, because, so somebody even bringing up her ex likely brought up a lot of trauma for her. a lot of like, what? Like he's like, I'm sure that that brought up a lot. And then to find out that all of it was false and didn't even happen. I don't think anyone's investigating who did that. Like who created that false post and who did, cuz somebody did that. Somebody did that likely to get that juror thrown off the case. And so and I haven't really heard people talking about that. Like I don't know why that isn't being investigated more. I totally agree, that that was incredibly re-traumatizing, and I don't know if it was Becky or if it was somebody couldn't I don't know. I don't wanna say but I don't know who it was. It seems like that's something that we could find out, especially the way that, Facebook subpoenas can go. It wasn't me. Uh, I moved the squirrel up here. If anyone's ever looking for the squirrel, the up dog and squirrel are above the book now. Okay. Oh, okay. We're gonna try to keep going. I'm looking for the Rhonda video.
That, the restraining orders?
On the way from the jury room to the back chambers where the judge was, she was very scared. She was talking about the three restraining orders that she had out on her husband at the time that they were divorcing. And she was scared that he would be trying to get back in contact with her again.
Well, how do you know that? Did she tell you that?
She was talking about that on the way to the jury room, to the chambers with the judge.
Is it just me? So Becky seems to know a lot. Becky seems to know a lot. And this is just this. And I think she included aspects of this in her book, which is just mind blowing. Okay, so it wasn't a false post. It was another couple with the same surname. Okay, thank you. Thank you for adding that. And did that person really have an ex-wife that was on the jury? Karen, let me know if that was true. If that person really had somebody that was on a jury, because I don't think it was this specific trial. Did we find out that was true? Wow. Okay, 'cause I wasn't I knew there was a post because I think the post really did get deleted. I wasn't sure. I know that it was yeah. Amber, I heard that as well, and I think Becky supposedly told the juror that the person apologized and took it down when they tried to go back and find the post. This is wild.
And in the court, in this hearing now that I'm looking at, that the court is conducting, she said, they're asking about this Facebook post, and she said, Miss Becky said she went to look for the post again and that it had been deleted. I don't know who she talked to or anything else, but she said apparently, do you recall her saying that?
I do remember her saying that.
And the court then said, what did she tell you about that? And the juror said, it was after you let us go on the last break. I was very upset. This is what you're talking about. And she came down and talked to me and said that apparently, I don't know who talked to him, but he said he was drunk and he removed the post. Do you recall that?
Well, she didn't tell me that, and I didn't talk with her about that.
Well, you saw that post, the so-called apology post, did you not?
Right, I did.
And you assumed that was a post from her husband, did you not?
Right.
And then you talked to the juror about that, did you not?
I did not.
To me, the judge sounds agitated. And normally and it could just be the judge's tone of voice, but to me, the judge is like, "Did you not?" Like, the judge is like, and she's going to But it does seem like the judge believes what the juror said more than what Becky Hill is saying right now. And I just hit myself with this in the face, if anybody saw that.
Not talk with the juror about that.
Well, who did you talk to about it? Did you bring it to the judge's attention?
No, we didn't get a chance to talk to the judge about that.
I can't with y'all. I just can't.
The court asked this juror, has the clerk discussed anything about the case with anyone on the jury? The juror said, not that I'm aware of. The judge said, okay, she was just discussing with juror. She pulled me aside when we went downstairs after the last break. I want to say it was after lunch, and we came back, and that's when she first told me about this, what we now know was not a post from her husband.
Right.
But you assumed it was a post at the time, and y'all had a conversation.
And that action got someone thrown off of a jury. Like, and it is what it is. Oh, it's not going to get any better for Becky. I want to see Rhonda because Poot fought really hard to be able to bring Rhonda up. So let's turn on closed captioning. Uh-oh. Okay. Let's share this tab instead. All right. This is from Court TV. I'm going to go back and put it in the description later for anyone that wants to go back and see the full video without my interruptions. So this is Rhonda. She is another clerk of court.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am. That's what I'm here for.
Thank you. Please have a seat on the witness stand. State your full name for the record, and please spell your first and last name.
You gonna make sure I'm gonna stay here.
Yes, sir.
Say your name for the record, please, so I can make sure I can hear you.
Rhonda McElveen.
Your Honor, can you hear? Okay.
I can't hear you great, Dick. I can hear you, but I would doubt that anybody posted lawyers would hear you.
Is that better? No?
Is that thing on, Mr. Bailiff?
Okay, I'm going to fast forward a little bit. They're working out audio stuff.
Say your name again for the record, please.
Rhonda McElveen,
And Ms. McElveen, what do you do for a living?
clerk of court and ROD for Barnwell County.
Clerk of court in what?
Register of Deeds. I have 2 titles.
2 titles. And is that an appointed or an elected position?
Elected.
So you're elected by the people of Barnwell County.
Yes, sir.
And how long have you been the clerk of court of Barnwell County?
This is my 16th year.
16 years. And
I'm running again, sir.
Rhonda's personality was really, really awesome. Like she's just, yeah, I thought Rhonda came off. Yeah, she just seems very personable, but not in a lack of boundaries way. And that's what's going to come up a little bit, even with Rhonda. That Rhonda kind of saw and heard some things, and she was kind of like, ooh, I wouldn't do that.
you're up this year, 24 is?
Yes, sir.
All right. Don't think I'm allowed to plug that, but you have been the clerk for 16 years. You're up again this year. Now, do you know the clerk of, well, back up for just a second. Do you hold any position is there a state organization of clerks of court?
Yes, sir. I'm actually the president of the South Carolina Clerks of Court and Register of Deeds.
Okay. And that means that of the 46, there are 46 of y'all, is that
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
And you were elected to be the chairman of that group,
President of that group.
president of that group.
Yes, sir.
Now,
I just wanted to say hello to everyone watching. There are over 100 of us here. Welcome, welcome. And yes, feel free to hang out. And we're just watching this and just chatting. And if you have questions, let me know. Uh-oh, play. There am I on the wrong one? Uh-oh, what happened? Did it go back to the beginning? I'm sorry, y'all. Something happened. Okay.
Doing what the judge
All paramount.
It wanted to play a commercial. Okay. All right.
the attorneys to decide which jurors they would like to get. They have so many strikes, et cetera. And then you call the names and they have the strikes, and then that's your jury pool.
And then the judge will seat a jury in a jury box, like, although I've never quite seen a jury box that looks like that, but a jury box in a courtroom, right?
That is correct.
Your jury box in Barnwell County is a little, like 2 rows of 7 or 8 people.
Well, I actually have a jury box on both sides of the courtroom, because I have the grand jury on one side when they convene, and then I have the petit juries on the other side when they convene.
Okay. And the jury, they're sworn by the judge, and then they're put in the jury box, and they begin to hear arguments and testimony and jury charges by the judge. Is that correct?
Well, actually, sir, where we do it, the clerk of court usually swears them in with the judge presiding over the whole deal.
Okay. Once that jury is sworn in, what is your role in terms of dealing with those jurors individually or as a group? Are you allowed?
I'm going to fast forward because we know what they are and are not supposed to do, and that Becky Hill crossed some of those boundaries, or is allegedly crossed some of those boundaries. So, all right. They're going to talk about eye contact with the jury.
In case somebody needs something, but usually they'll catch my eye or they'll catch the judge's eye, and we'll get something handled.
Okay. So did you have any contact with the clerk of court of Colleton County prior to her being elected the clerk of court of Colleton County? Did you know her before she was clerk of court?
No, I did not.
Did you come to know her once she was elected clerk of court?
Yes, I did.
And was it a pleasant relationship?
It was.
And how did you come to be, and to cut to the chase, you ended up being in the courtroom during the Murdaugh trial for part of those 6 weeks. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How did you come to be there?
When Becky and I met each other at a conference, clerk of court's conference, where she was discussing that she had that trial coming up, and I knew that she was relatively new, and I said, I'll offer to come help you if you would like. And I think she ended up talking to Judge Newman about it, and they both said, yes, it would be good that I was there.
Okay, because you tried a murder case, two in the past, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you go and help Becky Hill try that murder case?
I did. I couldn't go for the first 3 days because I had court in Barnwell, and I told both of them if I had court going on in Barnwell, I could not be in Colleton County.
Okay.
Gonna fast forward.
To your knowledge, had Ms. Hill ever been the clerk of court that managed a murder trial prior to this?
Not that I'm aware of, sir.
So this was her first murder trial, as far as you know?
As far as I know of this magnitude, I don't know if they had one before then or not.
Okay. Now, when did y'all, I mean, initially, what were you talking about in terms of logistics and how you did it and all those sorts of things?
Yes, sir.
During that, before the trial, before we ever picked a jury, did she ever discuss with you that she was going to write a book?
Yes, sir.
And
She
did
wanted
she-
to write a book. Yes,
Wanted
sir.
to write a book. Did she indicate what the book was going to be about?
About the trial?
About the Murdaugh trial?
Yes, sir.
And did she discuss with you, what, if anything, did she discuss with you about how she felt the verdict should turn out to be in the Murdaugh trial, vis-a-vis in reference to the book? What would help the book?
A guilty verdict.
And tell the judge and me what exactly she said to you that you remember. This is prior to the trial.
Okay. Well, first of all, she said we might want to write a book because she needed a lake house and I needed to retire. And then
And that might have been a joke. I don't know. But sometimes sarcasm or jokes are a way to say what you really want to say but like you put a tone on it, but you really wanted to say that. And so it could have been a joke, but ooh.
further conversations, a guilty verdict would sell more books. And we left it at that. This was before, even in December.
And when did she ever say that again to you during the weeks you spent there?
Several times. It could be said it was, amongst friends in her office, or we might be having dinner, that kind of stuff, but that's about it.
That she needed to get.
Gonna make myself bigger again. So there's something called unconscious bias, where if I'm not aware of what's going on, that I might have some bias that I'm not actively aware of. And the fact that she's writing this book and doing these things, and she says that she doesn't remember having done anything that was unethical or anything like that. And yet there could be this other motivation. And that's why I don't think it was a good idea for her to be actively thinking about and pursuing the idea of writing a book during the trial. In my opinion, she should have waited until after everything was done. She really should have waited until after to make that decision, to make sure that she stayed unbiased. And some people feel like she's aware, like I'm getting in the chat. She knew. Like y'all are like, "Nah, Dr. Barry, she knew." Becky knew. I don't know. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. I try. But I do know that and it's just so interesting that to me she seems so pressed to make sure that Murdaugh, like, that he was found guilty for his crimes, but like you don't do crimes trying to like take down. Remember, we don't do crimes. Like, just don't do crimes. Like, that's um, don't do crimes. And these are allegations. Who knows what really happened? To me, the jurors come across credible to me. In my opinion, Becky Hill does not come across credible at all. Her story kept changing. And when it doesn't make sense, to me, it's not true. Like when I can't put it together, like, wait a minute, you said this and then you said this, but then you said this, and then you didn't answer this question. You gave this other information. To me, that's what the juror says makes sense. What the egg juror says about, she pulled me aside beforehand and I'm like, why are you even talking to me? Because I was like, what? Like, if this is an issue, like I should be pulled in with the judge. Like this doesn't seem right. This isn't right. And I adore, and I have to believe. So because I really, really adore Judge Newman. And I don't know that he knew the full extent of all of this. I was interested to see if Judge Newman was going to have to testify behind closed doors, or like, is he going to be involved in any of this? Because when it doesn't make sense, then it's just not true. Welcome to the replay crew. I appreciate each and every one of you. And so I can believe that a person, so I'm going to pull this up but it's a comment about Alec, and I still agree that he should have a fair trial, because with our justice system, even if someone, the worst person, they still deserve a fair and balanced trial. Like, that's just what we're all supposed to get. And justice is supposed to be blind, and we know that it's not. We know that it's not. In looking at next week, I'm thinking the jury will probably come back on the Crumbly case. So, in just looking at what I might cover, I'll probably do a video on Crumbly It's Jennifer Crumbly. I'm probably going to do a video on her maybe on Tuesday, and then I'm going to have to record a video for next week. Next week we have some family stuff, and so I'll probably not premiere, but a video will come out 2 p.m. Eastern like normal. It just won't be live after that. And lots of people feel that she should be be charged. We will see what happens. We will see what happens. And then so a person, because I think the prosecution has to do their job in portraying everything. We'll get into that next week, but what I'll say today, I think the prosecution got too deep in the weeds about her affair. Like, to me, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I think they got a little too deep. But they were trying to say that she was distracted with all these other things, and that's why she missed blah blah blah. So we will see what happens. This is an unprecedented case, like, and I'm glad because I'm tired of seeing these school pew-pews happening and parents need to be held accountable. I live in Virginia, and the mother of the 6-year-old, she was charged. I think was it months in jail? I don't know. I'll look it up for the Crumbly case because I'll mention it again. But we had a case here where a 6-year-old got a hold, and thankfully the teacher lived. So here in Newport News, Virginia, a teacher went to the administration, said, "Hey, there are reports this kid has a weapon." They did not search the child well enough because the child did have a weapon and did end up injuring the teacher. Thankfully, she's okay. But and the teacher had complained about this student over and over, and the parent did not secure their weapon. And so we are going to talk about all that stuff next time. Let's get back to Becky. That's my random moment for right now. I do want to answer questions because yes, he was given life in prison without the possibility of parole, I believe. I'm almost positive. I did cover his sentencing. Yes. I covered his sentencing. Oh, and so in Animal Cookie, if you're able to watch, if you're not, I'm waiting for the verdict before I cover it. So before I cover it, I want to see the verdict. I am a graduate of Virginia Tech. The incident that happened at my school was a year. I want to say it was the year after, maybe a few years. It was after I graduated, but it happened in a residence hall I used to live in, and in classes in buildings I had classes. And so that's why there are sometimes I don't cover some cases because it does hit a little too close to home. And so I want to see what happens with the verdict before I cover that one. Back to Miss Becky Hill. All right. Oh, all right. So let's hear a little bit more of what Miss Rhonda has to say. And then if y'all have questions, make sure to leave them in the chat and we'll get to enjoy.
Guilty verdict to sell more books.
That would be the best way to sell books, yes, sir.
The best way to sell books. Now, during this process, did she ever express to you an opinion on whether or not, in fact, was Mr. Murdaugh guilty of the murders of his son and his wife?
Yes, sir.
Tell me what she said, and if you remember when.
I don't exactly remember when. I know it's over half of the trial had already happened, but the evidence was coming forth that it looked like he might be guilty. And she made a comment that guilty verdict would be better for the sale of books.
Okay. Now, as a result of a conversation you had sometime during the trial, I don't want you to relay to me what was told you. Did you have a discussion with the clerk, Becky Hill, about her being with jurors on her own?
Yes, sir, I did. One morning I showed up to Colony County and I was told that she had taken a juror home the night before. And I was in the courtroom and I saw her, and it was between the pews and where the back row pews are. And I mentioned to Miss Becky, I said, please tell me you didn't take a juror home last night. And she told me, she says, I did, but I didn't talk about the case. I had a bailiff with me. Mr. Bill was with me. I said, Becky, you don't do things like that.
And Becky Hill has denied that she took a juror home. Like, you gotta call a Uber. You have to you can't get a ride home with the clerk of court. You just can't. Or even no, like, you just can't.
I thought we had stopped everything. Wasn't far enough along to really cause a major problem, or I would have told Judge Newman. But I thought we had an understanding that you did not spend time alone with the jurors.
Okay. Now, I'm going to read you some statements. Well, first of all, did you ever hear her say anything in front of you to a juror about whether or not, on the merits of the case, that is, whether or not he was guilty or innocent or what you should pay attention to? Did you ever hear her, what, if anything, did you ever hear her say to a juror or in the presence of a juror? Anything?
No, sir.
Okay. But let me ask you if you've ever heard her say these statements, and if so, to who? Don't be fooled by the evidence presented by Mr. Murdaugh's attorneys, which I understand. Do not be fooled by the evidence presented by Mr. Murdaugh's attorneys. You ever hear her say that?
Your Honor, this time I would object. This witness was specifically called as a Rule 16.3B extrinsic evidence. I think we've covered the two grounds that would be permissible for her to testify to, and I believe that should be the extent of her testimony. So we would object to any further extrinsic evidence as improper impeachment and also irrelevant. I think that the issues that were raised with the prior witness have been covered, and that was the express reason that this witness was called, and Your Honor allowed the testimony.
Overruled. You may continue.
Thank you. Did you?
So I'm gonna pause. So Littles is not feeling good. So Littles already is downstairs with popsicles and juice. I'm just trying to stay healthy. Hopefully I don't get whatever he had. And so he is already happily watching YouTube Kids downstairs. I have a 6-year-old, and he normally right about now he'd be coming in for the iPad. He's already set up downstairs.
You ever hear her say that?
Can you repeat the verbiage?
Don't be fooled by the evidence presented by Mr. Murdaugh's attorneys.
Yes, I did.
And who was it said to?
It was said to me.
Okay.
And sometimes it might be a staff member in our office or someone from the media there. But other than that, I didn't hear her say it out there in front of any jurors.
Did she ever say to you or to other people around you, I'm not talking about jurors, watch him closely, talking about Mr. Murdaugh. This is just before he testified. Look at his actions. Look at his movements. Did you ever hear her say that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And once again, that was said to Rhonda. It was not said in front of jurors. And so I think that's why the judge ruled the way the judge ruled. Since we are covering this, let me go on ahead and just play the judge's part. Let's see. The judge's actual ruling. I was surprised that the judge ruled the same day. I think people were thinking that the judge was going to think about it, consider things, and then come back. The judge did not. The same day, did they take a break? I don't remember. But the judge did rule the same day. So let me pull that up and I will share that screen. Commercial. Hopefully that doesn't. There we go. Let's go on ahead and share this screen. Close captions. Skip. All right.
Richard Alexander Murdaugh. 2022 GS 1500592592, 593, 594, and 595. The following constitutes my ruling on this matter from the bench. This order will be supplemented, as I will explain, after proposed formal orders are received from each side in this matter. This case is unique in my 20 years of experience as a lawyer, and my 35 years of experience as an active justice of the Supreme Court and a senior active trial and appellate judge. Usually matters involving possible improper contact with or conduct of a juror arise during or shortly after the trial. The judge then puts the affected juror or jurors under oath, conducts an examination, and rules on the request for a new trial or a mistrial. In this case, I was appointed almost 9 months after the trial to replace the trial judge who was recused. It is now almost 10 months after the verdict was rendered and sentence imposed in this matter. It is now on appeal to the Court of Appeals. Several months after the appeal was filed, the defendant moved that his appeal be suspended and this matter be remanded to the trial court to consider his motion for a new trial on a charge that the clerk of court for Colleton County tampered with the jury by expressing her opinion to the jurors about what their verdict should be.
Now, okay, to me, I think Murdaugh thought this was going to go a different way. Like, I think he thought with all of this, I'm definitely going to get a new trial. That's just, I don't know his mind. I don't know what's going on. To me, he looks hopeful to me. He's waiting. He's listening. Let's keep going.
And about the credibility of the defendant who had elected to take the stand and testify on his own behalf. Since this matter has been remanded to me, I have set the matter for a pretrial and a final hearing, conducted a telephonic status conference with the attorneys for the parties on December the 21st, 2023. I have received briefs from the parties. I conducted a pretrial proceeding on January the 16th, 2024, in which I invited briefs and arguments by the parties and by the attorneys for certain of the jurors and for the clerk of court, Rebecca Hill. On Friday, January the 26th, 2024, I conducted a hearing on this matter in which I took testimony from one of the jurors. The conduct of the examination conducted solely by me. I received further argument from the attorneys for the state and for the defendant. Today, January the 29th, 2024, I have taken sworn testimony from the remaining 11 jurors who rendered a verdict in this case. This examination was conducted solely by me. I have found no case that provides otherwise in the many cases I have read on the subject of a motion for a new trial on the basis of after discovery.
So I'm laughing a little because if to me, I would think if somebody was making this major thing, I don't think I would be picking with my hands, but I probably would. So, cause y'all know eventually I'm going to get a chair that doesn't swivel. Like eventually, cause y'all, I don't sit still. And so I can really, empathize with Alec. Like Alec is just doing the most. Cause I'm over here checking my phone. Cause I know what she's going to get to, but come on, judge. Let's go.
Evidence of jury tampering or misconduct. I have also received sworn testimony from the clerk of court, Rebecca Hill. Direct examination was conducted by Deputy Attorney General Creighton Waters. Cross-examination was conducted by Defendant Attorney Richard Harpootlian. I have also propounded questions myself to the clerk of court. I also received testimony from the clerk of court for Barnwell County, Rhonda McElveen, who attended most of the trial and assisted the clerk of court for Colleton County. I've also received testimony from the remaining alternate juror who was, when the matter was deliberated, dismissed from further service. The following is my ruling on the defendant's motion. The standard of proof. The state contends that in order to prevail, the defendant must show, one, that the clerk of court made an improper comment or propounded an improper question to the member of the jury, to a member of the jury who rendered the verdict. Two, defendant must further show that Ms. Hill's improper comment or question actually influenced the juror's verdict, citing State v. Green, State v. Alvarette, and other opinions of our Supreme Court and other authorities. Defendant contends that he must show only that an improper question or comment was propounded to any juror by clerk of court Hill. If so proved, the defendant contends that the motion for the new trial must be granted. Defendant relies on United States v. Rimmer and many other cases. My ruling is this. On the law, the defendant has the burden of proving both the fact of the improper comment or question by the clerk of court, Rebecca Hill, to a juror or jurors, and two, prejudice suffered by the defendant, specifically that the Hill improper comments
To me, his face is changing a little. So I'm not a body language expert. Somebody got mad because I said that, and then I just like, why did she say she's not a body language expert? And then people in the chat, I'm sorry, it's not the chat, it's the comments after. So to me, like his face is changing a little right now.
To the juror or jurors influence the juror to vote to convict defendant Murdaugh. The facts. Did clerk of court Hill make comments to any juror which expressed her opinion of what the verdict would be? Ms. Hill denies A, and so the question becomes, was her denial credible? I find that the clerk of court is not completely credible as a witness. Ms. Hill was attracted by the siren call of celebrity. She wanted to write a book about the trial and expressed that as early as November 2022, long before the trial began. She denies that this is so, but I find that she stated to the clerk of court, Rhonda McElveen, and others, her desire for a guilty verdict because it would sell books. She made comments about Murdaugh's demeanor as he testified, and she made some of those comments before he testified to at least one and maybe more jurors. Did clerk of court Hill's comments have any impact on the verdict of the jury? I find that the answer to this question is no. Each member of this jury took their involuntary assignment very seriously. They obeyed the instructions of the court.
I think he's doing a lot to regulate his anger right now, because I think he's definitely big mad, in my opinion.
They obeyed their oath. These good and decent citizens of Colleton County stood to their duty and rendered their verdict without fear or favor. It was a difficult task. 11 of the jurors very unconditionally said they either heard no comment, or if they heard a comment, it had no effect. One juror was ambivalent in her testimony. She was then examined on her previous affidavit, in which she said the effect, if any, that she had was pressure she felt from other jurors. The cases are myriad that pressure from fellow jurors is a part of the normal give and take of jury deliberations. The court is not to inquire in any way about what is said in those deliberations. But the juror, who was somewhat ambivalent, said on her oath at the time of trial twice, and said on her oath before me in these proceedings that she stood to her oath. The clerk of court allowed public attention of the moment to overcome her duty. I have read the entire transcript of this lengthy trial, not an easy task. I have studied in detail all of the authorities cited. I have independently researched the case law, learned treatises, and scholarly articles on the subject. Although there is certainly a split in the federal circuits and in the states on the standard of review, I simply do not believe that the authority of our South Carolina Supreme Court requires a new trial in a very lengthy trial such as this on the strength of some fleeting and foolish comments by a publicity-influenced clerk of court.
Fleeting and foolish. Like this judge threw some jabs at Becky Hill. Did y'all hear all those jabs? We're talking siren call of celebrity. We're talking like this judge. Wow. So I appreciated what the judge said, and when the judge said all that she said, I got it. After hearing everything, I was like, "Ooh, there's a chance." And then after the judge came forward, because it truly is on the defense to prove that there was undue prejudice or whatever the term she used. And so
This is a matter within the discretion of the trial judge, and I am the trial judge at this moment. I do not feel that I abuse my discretion when I find the defendant's motion for a new trial on the factual record before me must be denied, and it is so ordered. I will file a fuller order which denies this motion on the grounds I have recited on the record before me as a trial judge and the authorities that have been cited by all parties in this matter. To that end, I will hold the record open. I direct that within 4 business days of receipt by the attorneys in this matter of a transcript of these proceedings, a proposed order by the state denying the defendant's motion for a new trial with citations be sent to me and to opposing counsel. I will allow the defendant 4 business days from receipt of the state's proposed order to lodge objections and or submit an alternative proposed order. Upon receipt by the court of all proposed orders, I will finalize this record, submit a written order, and I will at that time transmit the written order to the Court of Appeals, the court which has remanded this matter to me. This hearing is adjourned.
that judge. Woo. Somebody asked a really great question, and I want to talk about it. So, question. Possibility that Miss Becky has a disorder, recalls selectively, forgetting, disputing any negativity, and finally confabulating in her book regarding trial events and convos. So I think I think sometimes we're too quick to try to find a disorder and we don't look at the obvious. A person's motivation to not remember, because she could possibly face legal issues if she did the thing that she allegedly, or she could face like getting fired. She could face all of these things, her reputation ruined. I still think her reputation is probably, I could imagine, I don't know. I don't know how great it is right now. I do not think there's anything within my DSM-5 that, because sometimes people just lie. Sometimes people just lie. Why do people lie? To get out of trouble, to get their way. There is pathological lying. So pathological lying is a lie so that I avoid a consequence, or so that I have a reason. So I'm a person that is in a closed relationship but is being unfaithful. The reason why they lie about infidelity is because they don't want to get caught and they want to keep doing what they're doing. I wouldn't say they would necessarily meet criteria for a particular diagnosis. There's also compulsive lying, and a compulsive liar lies about the color of the sky. Like they lie about the color of their sweater. Like a compulsive liar lies about everything. There are some diagnoses that sometimes lying can be a feature, where so individuals with ADHD, and this is where I encourage my ADHD individual, like when they're in a pickle, when they're in a situation, because sometimes we want to people please. A stress response is to please the other person. And then also, like, our brains are wired for self-preservation. And if you get caught, one of the first things you want to do is, it wasn't me. That's one of the first things people want to do. And so being able to take a breath in that moment so that they can give the truth instead of a reaction, which might not be the truth. So that's where sometimes I work with people that do have issues with either pathological or compulsive lying. We address that by slowing down their response in those moments to so that they can use their thinking brain and not react. Because I want to respond to the question and not emotionally react. Now, I think Becky Hill, I think she has a lawyer, and her lawyer probably advised her how to be able to answer questions without committing perjury. Because if you notice, what she said was, I don't remember. We thought she was going to take the fifth. How many of us thought? I thought she was going to take the fifth on some things. And instead of taking the fifth, she said, I don't remember. Or like, this is how I remember it. And that's how she said it. And okay, the way that she remembers things, there is a juror that closer to the event said it happened another way. And to me, that juror doesn't have a reason to lie about it to me. Okay. So do I think she has a particular diagnosis? I don't, I don't, I don't know. In a situation like this, anybody would have anxiety. Anyone would have some sadness or possible depression because, like, you got caught plagiarizing. Like, people are doing YouTube videos about, I'm sorry. But like, so there are normal emotions that I think would come up in a situation like this. I don't know that it would meet criteria for a particular diagnosis. If we had to do one, if it was billing insurance, I'd probably pick adjustment disorder. Like, if I'm working with someone that's in a situation like this, adjustment disorder is our catch-all for everything. The way the juror, okay, let me see if there were any other questions. Let me know if you all have any questions. So Murdaugh definitely did not look happy at all with that situation. The judge, like, I don't even know that I can say it the way I don't know that I can say it that way. So I used to live in Georgia, and I had a very Southern accent at the time. That's also where I learned how to stutter. Learned how to stutter. What do you mean? So I went to Georgia, and I was little brown 6-year-old who could speak fluent Okinawan. And they thought I was speaking gibberish, and they told me I had to speak English only. This was back in the 90s before there was English wasn't my second language. English is what we spoke at home, but we moved from Japan. And when I went to school, all the other military kids, we all spoke English and Japanese. Like, that's just what we all did. And when I got back to Georgia, they did not like that I was speaking gibberish. And so they threatened to hold me back. I developed a hideous stutter, and I should have gotten speech therapy. I did not. So if you hear me stutter, if you hear me get caught on my words, like, that's where sometimes my processing, I haven't tried to go back and learn the language again, because I probably could, because I heard the phonemes, I heard the language early enough that my brain likely has it stored somewhere. But because of, like, yeah, that incident, I don't really remember it. So I appreciate you all being kind, because some people are not kind in the chat. And so yes, but my son developed a bit of a stutter, and we got him speech therapy. He is doing phenomenal. Super excited about that. The looks he was given were the looks he was given. Okay. So, any other questions? Let me know. I don't recall. Like, that's like, a lawyer will tell you, like, a way. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but like, if you meet with your lawyer and you say, like, how can I answer the question and it not be perjury? Sometimes I don't know. Like, because she answered the question. Some things she gave really heavy denials to. And the weird thing is, I think she would blame Murdaugh for that. So that's why I bring up unconscious bias, because I think a lot of the things that she despised in Murdaugh, like she has some of those things. And that's why here on this channel, I'm very careful about what I cover. You all know, because a lot of people put in the chat about Paul Ferguson. There are a lot of allegations going around about his past and things that he allegedly did to Timothy in the past. There are allegations about Shonda, and people got mad about that too. I kept saying, but she like Shonda, things Shonda had done, but she doesn't like Shanda. So shouldn't we say Shanda? Like, shouldn't we say it the way she doesn't like it? I don't know. So Shonda. There were a lot of allegations. I regretted speaking about the Frankie kids, because there were allegations, because as soon as Ruby and Jody were arrested, I think it was Jody that was like, make sure so and so isn't around kids. And I did a video talking about, like, hey, if you do have a child that's reactive, like, these are some tools, like, these are things you can do to actually help the child and not, porcher them. And so, thank you, Sarah, for the porcher. If you wonder why I say porcher, blame YouTube. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Welcome, Dominique. No worries being late. Let me see. Yes, Okinawa. So it's my understanding. So I lived in Okinawa, Japan, and that there's a dialect for the people that live in Okinawa, and it's often called Okinawan. That's my understanding. That's what my family told me. That's what we do. And so, all right, getting caught up. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all so much. This is why I do what I do. And then I also like talking about the fact that I'm a streamer and I have a stutter. I am a streamer that has anxiety. I used to hate speaking in front of people. And it took a lot to work through those anxieties, to work through that stress. And I am open about the things that I work on. And I really, really appreciate you all. Like, it really, I really, really appreciate it. You see, so they're not the same. I speak Japanese. And I can't understand Okinawan. Yes. So Okinawan, it's another island. Cause even on the, like, you can, yeah. So yeah, I won't break down language. And even on like a smaller chain of islands, there can be multiple dialects, there can be multiple ways that people speak. And so, yes, welcome, Grizzlies. So Griselda, I might be saying it wrong, because yes, Grizzly, she has commented on a few of my videos, and it brings me just such, like, oh, like I get a little starstruck. Because I know there are other people that watch the videos and they give me comments. Gee, perfect. Yes. Gazelle, and she's Dutch, I wanna say. Gazella. Gazelle. And I love the way that she says her name, Gazella. It's an absolutely gorgeous name, and I was hearing it wrong, a few times. She is phenomenal. I really, really love her content. Oh, you're here! What? You get to see me fangirl in Aw. Thank you so much for all you do. I truly appreciate your videos as well. And let me know if y'all have any final questions or anything. Let me know if y'all have any cases that y'all would like for me to cover. I'm definitely going to be covering the Crumley case this coming week, because yes, but I want to wait until the sentencing, or until the verdict at least. So I do think the jury, we'll see if it takes a few days. We'll see how long it takes, but I'm definitely following that one. And we're going to see if Sarah Boone, if she gets a specific thing. And I used to live in Germany. So I speak ein bisschen Deutsch, just a little bit. We lived towards the southern end of Germany, and we used to drive through the Netherlands all the time. And so I love Europe. Hello to all of my UK viewers, especially Karen and everyone else. It really, really was. Yes. So I did a short talking about Sarah Boone. Y'all, Sarah. Oh, Sarah Boone. And her lawyer was one of the first lawyers that put in his brief or in whatever he filed, he put in it, like, I have had communication with her because she was making it sound. And I even said in my video covering her letter, I wonder if she's selectively saying in person meetings, and she was talking about her calling him, but she didn't say he doesn't call me back. Like, she never said that. And so I don't think the judge is going to let the lawyer off if Sarah wants to keep him. I don't think that the judge is going to do that. I think the judge is probably going to say, like, you've come to the end. Like, this is, what do you want to do? And and so he's asked to withdraw. I don't believe he's been released yet. So he's asked to withdraw, and I believe the judge has to have a hearing to decide. I can't. No. And yes. And so oh, I and some of the lawyers that had to withdraw from her case, it was because they represented George. Jorge, but George. It was because they had represented him, so that makes sense. So he has filed. Yes, Lisa, you missed it? After her 7-9 page, after her letter and draft brief that she wrote, which she can't submit. Like, she can't do that. This was all because she got mad that there was a hearing that she wasn't at. And he wasn't at it either. It's my understanding that he filed something to move the date of something, but I guess she was mad that they had the hearing without her, but I don't even think he was there. And because I think it was just a rescheduling thing. And she's big mad. She wrote a very beautiful letter. The penmanship is gorgeous. Sarah has some thoughts on her handwriting. I would love to hear your thoughts on that. I don't think they can give her another lawyer. Like, I just, because she won't go to trial in May if they bring another lawyer on. Like, she can't. Like, she won't go to trial in May if they bring another lawyer on. I really want to hear from their mental health expert. I do not think she would do a very good job representing herself. I do not, in my opinion, she does not manage her emotions well, in my opinion. Now, she does it okay, like, in court. So, like, Daryl Brooks, he would have these outbursts. I do think some of Daryl Brooks' outbursts, I think he was attention seeking and he was, like, trying to delay things, and that's when the judge would just put him in the other room. And I think there were times, instead of just asking, "Judge, like, can I just go to the other room?" He would instead, like, do things that would cause him to go to the other room. 'Cause I do think he also had that victim mentality where he felt like, "Oh, the court is denying me the right to be in the." No, 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 Mr. Brooks, we would love for you to be in court, but you have to respect the rules. You can't bring up jurisdiction. What is, y'all know what it was, his jurisdiction thing. And so if you're looking for the book, it is on Audible. It's on Amazon. You can get a signed copy through my website, drpatriceberry.com. Oh, that was wow. That was wow. And to me, Sarah seems to have more control over her emotions than he, at least. But like I said, I think some of that was he was trying to intimidate people. I think some of that was manipulation in my opinion. And so, yes, I covered this on my Sarah Boone video. No one's going to be good enough. But I think she's so entitled. I don't think she wants to represent herself, in my opinion. Incredibly entitled. All right. So, thank y'all so much for joining. I appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure to subscribe, like, do all those YouTubey things. I will be back with a premiere on Tuesday, and then there will be another premiere, possibly, or just a video Saturday again. So no live this coming Saturday. I have some family coming in, and so we're gonna enjoy family. But I do have time to record the video in advance, so I will be doing that. If y'all have things that y'all want for me to cover, please let me know. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Y'all have a good one. Bye. I have an outro. Where is it? I was trying to get it ready to like make it smooth. It was not smooth. Bye.